All right, hello and welcome to this next episode of DIGGS Sideline Podcast. As always, we are your hosts. I am Sam DeCosmo.
And my name is Patrick Alonia.
Pat, we did it.
Sam.
Another win.
Going to the Super Bowl again.
We're going to the Super Bowl.
There is a lot to break down in this game.
There is a lot, yeah. It was a good game.
Yeah. Just a little preview. Stefanski has changed, and Kubiak, they changed the offense. And I loved I don't think there was one case where I was kind of like, I felt comfortable the whole game.
What do you think changed, though? I mean, looking 2 weeks ago to the Bears game to today, what changed?
They just mixed it up.
Yeah.
There was a lot. I mean, let's just get right into it. Here's on my note here. I want to talk about the very first drive.
Let's do it.
So we had Cook. Cook was rushing. Then they threw in a pitch to Cook, who then pitched it to DIGGS.
Dude, that play, I was like getting wild because the defense fell for it.
You know what happened? I thought Cook just like bobbled it. And
it
went up in the air, and my heart stopped. And then DIGGS starts going and Cousins is running. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is good.
Dude, when the defense fell for it, I was like, yes.
I know. Yeah.
It was the best thing ever.
And then we had a bubble screen to Thielen shortly after.
I'm on record as saying I hate wide receiver bubble screens. We ran them at will today.
But you know what? They gave so much cushion that Cousins was audibling to them.
Yeah.
So that was all in the first drive. So maybe that was more of a Cousins audible, or maybe that was a design play.
I know he did that later in the game, too, on a designed run play. He just saw how much cushion they were giving Adam Thielen. He's like, I'm just going to do that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So then that happened, and then we had a deep route to Thielen on a 3rd and 13, which was huge. That was a tight window.
That was very tight. Kirk put the ball exactly where it needed to be.
Yeah. Yep. And then what was the last thing? And then the TD to Thielen in the end zone. It was a double move.
Yeah.
On a post there.
So that first drive took up, 8 minutes?
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. We did exactly what we wanted to do, impose our will, and then what happens next? Our defense goes out, gets a 3 and out.
Right.
We get the ball right back.
Right. And the thing that I loved about that first drive was there was just so much was sprinkled into that drive, and that's what we've just been crying for, is just something different other than the 2 tight end set running up the middle.
Right.
You know?
Right. And we were able to do it, and it was awesome.
Very refreshing. Yeah.
So on the next drive, it was kind of similar to the first drive in that we were going to Thielen. DIGGS wasn't really getting looked at. And I'm not sure. How did that second drive end? I think it was a field goal.
Yeah, it was a field goal. It was 10-0.
But yeah, we were moving the ball. And we were looking at Thielen. So after that drive where we were able to score, so we scored on our first two possessions.
Right.
So they ended up taking. So their 2 starting corners were out. So they put the weaker of the 2. They had him on Thielen. I think his name was Douglas.
Yep.
They had him on Thielen, and then since Thielen was getting all these looks, they said, Schwartz was like, all right, we're gonna put this guy over onto DIGGS. And oh boy,
what a mistake!
What a mistake,
dude! There were countless times where they were just running up the field, and Douglas wasn't even within arm's reach of him. Oh yeah,
there was so much cushion.
It was just like a fly route.
So the Philadelphia defense is really good. Their corners played very poorly today. So I think that really helped with how the game ended up playing out. But yeah, it was
so they played a stat, and Philadelphia before that game they had the number 2 rushing defense in the league. And I said before last week at the start of the Jets game, week 5 there for week 4 for week 5 against the Jets there, they had the worst passing defense at the time. So I think our initial plan was to really get play action involved and get the ball throwing.
Right.
And like you mentioned, they had 2 corners out. So that was an immediate we got to hit that.
That was huge. That was huge. The other thing that they put up on the TV today, and this was towards the end of the game, the Vikings are the first team against the Eagles to get 100 rushing yards.
Oh, this year.
Yeah, this year.
Oh,
this year.
I also saw another fact in the history of Atlanta, goodness gracious, against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
DIGGS is the first wide receiver to have 3 touchdowns against them.
Dude.
Or something like that. It was an odd stat.
Dude, you called it last week.
Yeah.
You said, I just want... so we went through our players of the game. I said Trey Waynes. I kind of cherry-picked that from you.
Well, no, but you had a different prediction. Your prediction was... Or no, it wasn't prediction. I'm sorry.
It was... So we'll talk about that, but I just want to give you...
Okay.
Pat, my friend, you are a football savant. You called it. You said DIGGS is going to have a day. You said he's going to have... You said 10 receptions, 100 yards. He
dropped 2 of them, which frustrated me.
He dropped 2 big ones. One of which was a first down.
Let's put him at 9, even though he had 7. But
he had 7, but he had 167 yards, 3 touchdowns, and those 3 touchdowns were gorgeous.
Those are amazing.
Gorgeous rainbows from Kirk.
And I want to talk about the first touchdown to DIGGS. it was a play action, a boot out, and you saw Kirk just was ready to unload. You knew something big was happening. I wasn't expecting that much separation.
His eyes were downfield, yeah.
Or maybe it was the second touchdown, but it was the one to Diggs, where he like barely caught it with like the back end of his hand there.
Yeah.
And if you look at the top of the route, there's another wide receiver. It's definitely not Thielen. I wonder if it was BZ Johnson.
Yeah.
He was even more open.
He was even more open.
Even more open.
It wasn't good. So that was a busted coverage. They were playing some sort of cover one, and honestly, if you looking at that route, Diggs straight up just ran around.
That's literally what he did.
Ran around the back of Douglas, and that was just the end of it.
Right.
And then similar thing. So Diggs actually could have had 4 touchdowns today.
Yeah.
That one that Kirk overthrew it, so that was on Kirk. But Diggs could have laid out for it had he wanted to.
Well, I must have missed that one.
I think it was another long ball.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It would have been a touchdown.
You know what? I'm gonna up that. He should have had 5 because at the end of the game there, when Diggs got tripped up in the end zone, do you remember that? He got tripped up.
Yeah.
That was going right to him. That was another one. So let's give him 5. Let's give him 9 catches and 5 touchdowns and 200 yards.
So we talked about last week. If Diggs has a monster game today, does that shut down the narrative that he wants out of Minnesota?
Yeah. Well, you know what? And Diggs has come out and said that he's never publicly stated that he wants to leave.
Right. Yeah, I think he was just frustrated, and rightfully so. After a game like the Bears game, you're frustrated.
And you know what? God bless him for doing that.
Yeah.
Because things have changed.
Things changed.
Yes.
They changed the scheme.
That was a change for the better.
Yes.
I think in most cases, outcries like that have a negative ripple through the team. But this was a different kind of ripple.
Right. It was different. And it was something that created change for the better.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a personality saying, like, I want to get paid. It wasn't a personality saying, I want more targets. It's a personality saying, we need to throw the ball. We're not going to be successful if we don't throw the ball. And they listened. And it's reaped success for us 2 weeks in a row.
So, Sam, I got a question for you.
Absolutely.
So, when we're texting, you and I are always throwing out little heart emojis when it comes to Eric Kendricks.
Yeah.
I want you to just give me a minute here and talk about Kendricks and why you love him.
So Eric Kendricks, he's a linebacker. He's in the middle of the field. I was just telling Alyssa, I think he's our best defensive player, and she's like, I thought Harrison Smith was your favorite defensive player. I said, not necessarily he's my favorite, and he's definitely the best in the league at his position. But Eric Kendricks is right in the middle of every single defensive play, and he's playing linebacker. He's covering dudes. He's rushing the passer. Even when his coverage is broken, like today, he was in coverage and he realized he wasn't going to be able to make a play on the receiver.
Right.
He said, I'm going to get in that passing lane, and he batted the ball.
He almost picked it off.
So he is just always he's never quitting, even when his assignment is blown.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny that Harrison Smith's your favorite player because he's mine too. And he's from the old school. He's been around a while.
Right.
But Kendricks is easily becoming my favorite new modern day. I know he's been around for like 4 years, but he's becoming my new favorite player for sure.
Absolutely.
Like you said, he's just all over the field on every play. And then how about the one where he stripped Zach Ertz near the end of the game there?
Dude, that was huge because they were starting to march. Were they within a touchdown at that time?
I think it was still 2 touchdowns and a field goal.
But it wasn't during their 24, where it was Vikings 24 at Eagles 20?
No.
When they were close?
No, I think we had another couple scores on it. But still, I mean, anything can happen in football. And there was momentum behind them. Yeah, they were charging.
They were and I think that was coming off of their takeover from us.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Here's what I do want to talk about. I want to talk about our opinions on Doug Peterson's aggressiveness in this game. Because there are moments where he looks like a genius, like in the Super Bowl. And there are moments when you kind of wonder, do you kind of just have a big head?
Are you talking the fake field goal?
I'm talking the fourth down early in the game at hour 48, where they didn't get it. Yeah. So we got field position, and I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't score on that deep touchdown on the very next play.
I think we did.
Yeah, exactly. Then the fake field goal.
Yeah.
If I can quick say, what was it? It was 24-17, I think. No. It would have put them within 4 heading into half. I think they would have been within 4, and on the road with how poor they kind of started, that would have been a win.
Right. Exactly.
Jake Elliott, I mean,
there's a time and place to be aggressive, but when the momentum's in your favor, specifically on the fake field goal, the momentum was in their favor. They were marching down the field, and they were about to get the ball at the end of the half. So that could have been a 10-point differential. Instead, they go for a fake, and I thought we played that fake perfectly.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and
I was so happy that we didn't just bite on the fact that we haven't seen a fake this year. They're probably just gonna kick the field goal. We were playing with our heads on a swivel.
And I like that you're saying we, because usually it's like one player who's like, oh shoot, like he realizes what's going on. There was
three or four guys.
Like three or four guys. So like they clearly drilled that in their heads. Like Doug Peterson is gonna pull some trickery.
Right. Also, I'm saying we because I feel like I was on the field in spirit.
Okay, that's your hot take, but I was giving you credit for
the week. All right, so we talked Adam Thielen, we talked Stephon Diggs. We kind of touched on Kirk Cousins. Before we move on to talking about the running game, I just want to touch on Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
22 for 29, 333 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception that was Diggs' fault. That ball went through Diggs' hands, hit him in the face mask.
Yeah.
That was not on Kirk. And dang near perfect quarterback rating, 138.4.
Yeah, no.
He was putting the ball consistently right where he needed to be. There was that one ball to Diggs on the long ball that was overthrown that Diggs could have gotten. But Kirk had himself a day. And I think that, so you said last week that you can't just manufacture playing angry, but I think something happened this week that made Kirk angry. I think it was a former teammate was calling him out. Well,
I think it was Brown is his name. Zach Brown. He was an ex-Redskin. And so I'm going to just kind of shorten what he said. But he says, Cousins, I think every defense is going to want that guy to throw the ball. He said, for me personally, that he is the weakest part of that Vikings offense. He said, we got a run game, we got wide receivers, we have a defense, but he like targeted him, and he's sitting there with like a smile in the interview. And listen, if people want to keep feeding Cousins this kind of hate, that's going to light that.
I'm here to talk about the game, not about that.
Set on 2nd and goal. Cousins to the end zone. Thielen.
I'm here to talk about the game, not about that.
Season. Cousins first down, going deep for Diggs. He makes the catch. Stephon Diggs, touchdown.
I'm here to talk about the game, not about that.
Play action. Cousins, Diggs. He's got it. Touchdown.
I'm here to talk about the game, not about that.
Play action. Cousins to the end zone.
Any other questions besides about Kirk Cousins?
Shut him up.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And you can just tell Kirk is a little pissed off.
Yeah.
And I think his wife loves this kind of guy.
Well, yeah.
He's always this.
Well, he's pissed off because he's hearing this kind of stuff from, not just opponents, but ex-teammates. That has to hurt. He's hearing all of the criticism from the fan base. That has to be like, well,
and from his own team is kind of the media is skewing it. Yeah,
exactly.
But,
so, I don't think that when he's playing angry, I don't think that that's manufactured. I think that that's real, and I love to see that passion out of him.
Right. And I think I'll at least say it. I know we're very, very hard on Kirk Cousins, and I'm
not.
You're not. I've ripped him a new one, so I can't sit here and be all happy when he's doing great and act like I'm not hard on him when he's not doing great and I'm a bad fan. But
right.
But I just want to say he's finally living up to what is envisioned in my head and everyone's head.
Right.
Yeah.
So our passing game was very successful today. As far as how teams have been running against the Eagles, I thought our running was also phenomenal today. And it was an even distribution. Madison had 14 carries, which I love to see him getting more involved in the game plan. Cook had 16 carries, so that was like almost an even split. And Madison broke away a few big ones.
He did. He really did. Yeah. He had like 3 of them for like 10, 15 yards, a piece. His longest was 35. Yeah.
Madison outran Cook today. He ran for 63 yards and Cook ran for 41. And Cook got his touchdown off of Madison's big run.
Yeah. I thought for sure that Cook was going to be done around that time, but they fed him the rock and,
whatever. I don't think that running back room cares who scores as long as the team is running the ball effectively.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, and you know what? And just to sprinkle in what we talked about, how the offense has changed. I mean, Diggs had 2 carries, and so did Thielen. You want to talk about that one where it was the end around to Diggs?
Gosh.
It was supposed to be a throw.
My heart,
I know.
My heart sank and rose like 4 times in that one play.
I just thought Michael Vick was out there for a second. The way he was like holding the ball out here, he's like jumping around.
Part of me was like, Diggs is never going to throw this ball.
Yeah.
He's never thrown a ball before. He might have thrown a ball, but he's not a guy. He's not like a Julian Edelman who they'll let throw the ball every now and then.
Right.
So like he's definitely taking this. And then he like reared up to pass, and I was like, oh no.
I know. Yeah.
And then he like pulled it back
psyched
down.
everyone out.
And he's running around, and the ball's all the way out here. And I'm like, good Lord.
He got like 8 yards out of it, and then he tripped into our own linemen because the linemen were like, they were just standing
they had
there
no idea
like,
what was going on.
Yeah.
Do you think Diggs was supposed to pass the ball? Do you think like
for
there was
sure.
an option to pass?
No, that was strictly passing because the linemen no one was moving up the field. They were standing there like, all right, now you're supposed to throw the ball, and then he kept running. They're like, oh shoot, and then he tripped over him.
Oh man, at least we got 8 yards on that play, and it didn't bust up.
Right.
But yeah. No, I thought our offensive game plan today was very sound, and it was very even. Even within the running game, it was evenly distributed. Passing, Diggs had 11 targets. Thielen had 8 targets. Kyle Rudolph got involved today. Irv Smith had a big catch.
Yep.
We were passing the ball. We were sprinkling it all around, and it's to the point where they can't just focus on one or two guys. All of our pass catchers are threats, and I love it.
And on paper, we're a deadly team.
We are.
It's like just looking at on the paper here. Names are all over. There's so many mouths to feed.
I absolutely think that if we, if Stefanski and Kubiak can keep calling plays in the right situation,
right,
to get Kirk time to throw the ball, because if Kirk has just a little bit of time, he'll get through his reads and he'll put the ball exactly where it needs to be.
Exactly, yeah.
I think if they can just buy him time and call the right plays in the right situations, we can go far.
I also want to highlight how well the team has been executing play action.
Yeah.
Until the second half, the Eagles were biting on every single, like I'm talking full blown, everyone is moving to the left or to the right. And Cousins is just out there. He can kind of pitch a tent, start a fire, cook the dinner family and get the throw off.
Yeah.
And so I just want to say that I feel like the coaching staff has really gotten the offense down here in the last couple weeks.
Absolutely.
I have a question for you.
Send it.
Are the Eagles better off with Nick Foles in Doug Peterson's style of offense? I think that RPO type style, or is Wentz? Carson or Foles?
Carson Wentz is a better quarterback,
Talent wise.
Sure. Carson Wentz is the better quarterback, so I think they made the right decision going with him.
But how about the system?
It's a good question. I mean, Doug Peterson, like you said, he likes to play aggressively. He likes to do things like trick plays. Things that might catch somebody off guard, and Nick Foles might be better at executing that. I don't know.
I'm just beginning to wonder if that was a mistake letting Foles go.
I think as with Doug Peterson as your coach, it was probably a mistake to let Foles go.
Yeah.
But Carson's the more talented quarterback.
No, I know. No, for sure. And you can't sit here and say that you can't expect a winning season with Wentz. You know what I mean? But I'm just wondering if Nick Foles should be the guy in Philly running that style of offense, because he does have a cannon, and that RPO.
Well, and that year that they won the Super Bowl, Carson Wentz didn't go down until like week 12 or 13. Foles came in late and brought them to the end, so they've been successful with Carson Wentz at the helm.
That's true. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you what you thought. I just think they're missing Foles a little bit.
So let's talk about our defense a little bit, and let's talk specifically Carson Wentz. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Carson Wentz is a big, strong guy, and you need 2 hands to take him down, Everson Griffin. You need 2 hands to take him down. I know what you're trying to do. You might have only been able to get 1 hand on him, but it was at least 2 or 3 times we got a hand on him, and he flushed himself out of the pocket and was able to get the play off. And it's you got to tap. We got home quite a few times, but we could have done a lot more if we were more fundamentally sound.
Yeah, and I'm going to give you credit because you said that exactly last podcast.
Yeah,
to a T. It's exactly what you said. Got to grab him with more than 1 hand.
Yeah, exactly.
And Everson did not do that.
I understand that you're trying to fight a dude that's 350 pounds, and he's trying to not let you get at the quarterback. So there are times where you can only get 1 hand on him, and I think that was the occasion. Mm-hmm. I think that our pass rushers are fundamentally sound. It's just and they've been successful with getting 1 hand on quarterbacks, in the past, but that's not going to work. You got to get home.
And I know I just kind of debated this Foles versus Wentz type thing, but I do want to give Wentz some credit, and something that I do love, just as a fan of the sport. He does a phenomenal job getting out of the pocket.
Absolutely.
That just infuriated me that we couldn't get the guy.
And extending the play.
The play. It's like a Rodgers-ish where, he gets out of the pocket and things happen. It's not as, when Rodgers does it, you got a deep guy down the field. It's a 50-yard pass, So we didn't see much of that. So I do want to give credit to the defense.
And
for not letting busted coverages
that
happen.
touchdown pass he had to Alshon Jeffrey, he extended the play twice.
Exactly.
We
Yeah.
were all this close twice.
Yeah, and there's only so much you can do as a defender to keep up the whole play.
So he's also very, very smart. He understands who is our strong corner and who's our weak corner. So the other thing we talked about was Trey Waynes.
Yeah.
That he was going to get picked on a lot, and he was.
He was.
You know, it was almost every other play. They were throwing Trey Waynes' way. I don't think they threw to Xavier Roadside once.
Not much.
It was
yeah,
a
you're
lot
right.
of Trey
Yeah,
Waynes.
right.
And he did an admirable job.
He did.
I do think that the refs were generous with us today, and a few calls going our way when we were on offense and not going against us. But there was a lot of hand fighting, and it was even. And he, you know, if you get one reffing staff, they'll call it. This reffing staff didn't. And he knew what he was able to get away with, and he did.
Right.
And, you know, he was able to keep step with the receivers. And I thought he played admirably today.
I thought the first half he played phenomenally.
Yeah.
He was targeted quite a bit, and there was nothing. He was doing a lot of doing this instead of,
right.
you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, but then the second half he was getting picked on a little more too, and there were a couple times where there was the one that Alshon Jeffrey that just went over his hand, you know. But you can't be perfect the whole game,
right?
You know, but you're right. He did an admirable job for sure.
Our linebacking core killed it today.
Yeah.
Whether they were putting pressure on wants to throw, or whether there was that one touchdown where Barr was in coverage again.
Well, so I want to talk about that actually, because it was a bit of a pick. Because Zach Ertz was coming across and Barr literally ran right into him.
Yeah.
And then he kind of regained himself and he cut too shallow, and then he was already up his way, and then he was just way behind him.
Yeah.
But yes, you knew it when you saw that it was going to the side, kind of a delayed throw. You knew it was going to the running back.
Yeah.
And
so I
Barr.
mean that is Barr's Achilles heel. But you know, the rest of the linebacking core, I mean, Barr did well today too. I think he almost had an interception or batted a ball or something.
Yeah, he almost picked it off.
Yeah. So everybody did really well today. I feel like in all levels. Anthony Harris got involved. He broke up some key passes.
Mackenzie Alexander came in at the end of the game and picked
got
it
an
off.
Interception. Yeah.
And guess who made a catch today?
Who's that?
Laquan Treadwell.
Laquan Treadwell. Good job, bud.
That was fun to see.
That was.
I did appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, overall it was just a great game. I did have a little bit of a scare just near the end of the first half there and going into the second. I was worried that this was going to be a Viking meltdown. But
I was worried too. And I think I mentioned it during the game, but you don't see very many Vikings victories under Mike Zimmer where the offense has to win the day.
Yeah.
Typically, if we can get 24 points and throughout the process of a game, you know, and the defense will shut it down. And granted, 24 points would have been enough today as well. But you don't know what they would have done with momentum and down with one score. They might have been a little bit more aggressive. But the offense won the day today. The defense, they did well, but they were not what won us the game.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Definitely. And I think things started changing too once Philly went in the shotgun. And it opened things up. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Got anything else? That was it was a refreshing game to see.
It was very refreshing. So I said it last podcast that the Eagles are going to be a team that if the Vikings can overcome them, will bring them back into the conversation for being one of the top tier teams in the league. And not only did we win, we won in a dominating fashion.
Yeah.
And I think that now people are finally going to recognize our offense as a legitimate threat, as well as our defense that they know is a legitimate threat, and they can't not have us in that conversation. I'm excited to see us play the Lions in Detroit, and then the rest of our division games are at home.
Yeah.
And I think that we can crush the Packers. I think that the Bears will be a really good game, and I hope we can go 2-0 against the Lions. We'll see, but I think that we are back in the conversation. During our week 1 episode when we went through all 16 games, we went through our win-loss record, and Pat, you did have us as a loss. You did flip-flop, so you've redeemed yourself. Yeah. But at this point in the season, you had us losing to the Bears at Soldier Field and losing to the Eagles here. So you had us at 4-2 at this point in the year, and I believe you have us ending 11-5, right? So Pat, you are. Yeah, so we're on track. Just because we lost 2 division games doesn't mean we're out of the conversation for the postseason. I think we're very much alive. I had us 5-1 at this point, so I'm a little bit overzealous.
You're not far off.
Guess who else is 4-2 after today?
Who?
The Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes. That was a shocker.
That was a shocker.
Yeah.
That was a good game. I was kind of following that closely too. So some might say we are as talented as the Kansas City Chiefs.
Let's quiet down. I was gonna say I'd prefer it if we. I was gonna say I'd prefer it if we still stay under the radar and we're not a top tier team.
I would too, but the fact that, going into Kansas City here in a few weeks, I know we don't want to look ahead, but that's obviously the big one that was going to be an L no matter what going into the season this year. That's starting to look like more and more of a realistic competitive game. I'm getting excited. Yes, we're on to the Lions, but looking at the one that we were just going to chalk up as an L no matter what, that might be competitive.
And what I like about why you brought up Kansas City, because that's going to be a huge game there in Kansas City, is that we've got tape on Kansas City against the Lions, Kansas City against the Colts, and then Kansas City against Houston here.
Yes.
For what's flawing right now for Kansas City, because they almost lost to the Lions too.
Right.
That was another last second, comeback win.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of tape out there, and they're a beatable team.
They are a beatable team.
Yeah.
They have some holes. So, but we need to. We'll hold off on that.
Yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves
until we get there. I think we have the Lions next.
Yes.
So. Join us next time for the preview episode where we look at the Lions game. As of this recording, the Lions and the Packers have not played their matchup. I believe that's on Monday Night Football. So we will be watching that one closely.
Go Lions!
And hope. And hopefully we can get a lot of quality film on them. So, all right, like I said, join us next time. And until then, Skol Vikings.
Skol Vikes. Thanks, guys.